Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening to learn about Revitaled's latest project, the Learn Hub. We are expecting a few more people tonight. It's going to be a small crowd, but we do just want to give everyone a couple minutes to log on. So please take this time. Feel free to go ahead, grab something to drink, find a good place to relax. And then in a couple minutes, say maybe around 6:05, we can get started with tonight's presentation. All right, I think this is a good time to get started. So again, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to join us here tonight. My name is Jasmine. I also have with me here Tashana, and we are from Revitaled Reintegration Services. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what our organization does, but the main focus of tonight's event is to dive deep into our latest organization's project, which is the Learn Hub. The Learn Hub is an online database that talks about or it provides information for navigating the justice system. And in this project, we focused on navigating the system from a holistic perspective. So we're really excited. This has been almost a year in the making. And so we're really excited just to be launching it and sharing it with you all tonight. So before we get started into tonight's event, I really do just want to do a land acknowledgement. So we would like to begin tonight's meeting by acknowledging the Indigenous peoples of all the lands that we are on today. So while we meet on a virtual platform, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the land, which we call home. The land in Ontario that I am on is governed by the Dish with One Spoon Covenant. This covenant is an agreement to share, work, and protect this land together in harmony with Indigenous peoples. So today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people across or from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on this land. So we do this land acknowledgement to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving the relationships between nations and to improve our own understanding of Indigenous populations and their cultures. From coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all of the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people that call this land home. So I hope that everyone is able to join us in a moment of reflection to acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past and to consider how each, in our own way, we can move forward in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. Okay. So I'm putting up this schedule for tonight. It's in no means in any way solid. We do this to set our goals for ourselves, but we understand that there might be questions that you might have. And so we encourage you to share those in the chat. We will do our best to answer them. But we will absolutely leave time at the end for a Q&A. But we do just want to leave this as an open forum for everyone here tonight. All right, so for the first section, I'm going to hand it over to Tishana, who is going to talk a bit more about Revitaled and the work that we do. All right, I think you're still on mute, Tishana, and then your camera went out.
There we go. Sorry, just having my computer's glitching for some reason, but not to worry. Hello, everyone. My name is Tishana. I'm the administrative manager at Revitaled Reintegration Services. And as Jasmine explained, we're not going to keep you guys too long, but we just want to give you just a little tidbit as to how we started, how Revital got started. And just understanding our overarching vision for Revitaled. So it's the brainchild of Jasmine, our founder. We all noticed that there was not a lot of support services that offered a mixture of holistic, person-centered and culture-centered programs. And we wanted to get involved in that because we know that in essence, you know, one shoe doesn't fit all sizes, right? For some folks, religion is an important factor in how they live their lives, in everything that they do. That's their center. And so we wanted to create programs that address that, family focused, youth focused, just incorporating an empathy, awareness of empathy that we've all had our own personal experiences. And we realized that when we came across some of the services that we ourselves use, there were some issues there. And so we wanted to incorporate, again, a holistic, family-centered, culture-centered programs that address a number of issues. And so Revital was founded through that. So as you can see there, it's all about rebuilding communities, rebuilding family, incorporating, well, families that are affected by crime, whether it's domestic violence or, you know, gun violence or just any kind of violence. We wanted to be there to support those who are being affected by it, as well as those who are up in, you know, wrong situation, wrong place, wrong time, not necessarily, you know, deeply involved in criminal activity themselves, but folks who just, you know, happen to be hanging out with the wrong crowd, got themselves in trouble, and now they're caught up in a system, not having any support, separated from their families, and needed some help to get back to some kind of normalcy in their lives. And so we wanted to be a part of that. Some of the programs, sorry, Jasmine, thank you. And these are some of the programs that we offer. Housing support. So someone coming out of the correctional facility, needing a place to stay, you know, group homes are, or, you know, community homes are not really necessarily the area that they want to, you know, land in. They do have some kind of support, but they need a place to stay. So we help them find housing, do research with them, finding, you know, with their budget, find out places that they could afford, you know, landlord and tenant board information there as well, so they know their rights as a tenant, term or long term. Counseling program's a little unique, where we call it counseling ship. So it's a blend between counseling and the spiritual aspect of it as well, which I mentioned before. For some folks, whether they're coming from a Muslim background or Christian background or Catholic background, just to name a few, that religious part of their lives is really important to them. So we have a blend of counseling versus the spiritual aspect of it. We also connect folks who are, for instance, if they're coming from a Catholic background, connect them with, communities, community groups that are Catholic based, and so that they can get the kind of support that they really need themselves. And that's a choice that they make. So if they choose not to incorporate that part of it, whatever counseling support that they need, we assist them there. We connect them with social workers, whether it's they need psychological counseling, psychiatric counseling, any kind of counseling. We connect them with community partners that can assist them there. For the community's employment support, again, we are there to assist them do job searches, resume building, connect them with agencies. If they need someone to go with them on to facilities, to the employment agencies, we go with them as well. We prep them for interviews as well. So any area, any aspect of the employment search, we are there to assist them. And even afterwards, if they want to continue working with us as well, if they want to continue with their education so that they can, get better employment, we are also there to support them as well. Everyday living activities, assistance. For example, someone coming out of the justice system, something as simple as using a bank card, because they've been incarcerated for so long. That's an issue for them. Now everything is e-transfer and Interact. Believe it or not, some folks have issues with that as well. They do not understand the e-transfer process at all. So just simple things like that, we help them with everyday living support, as well as you can see, connecting with people, tools, and resources to foster positive, independent living. So that's just a few examples there. Jasmine, thank you. Our HAL program. We came across a few individuals that are on the receiving end, unfortunately, of crime, lost family members through gun violence, and we realized that there was not a lot of support for them. There's a lot of support for folks exiting out of the justice system, but not a lot of support to help folks who have been on the receiving end of it. HAL stands for Hope After Loss. And so we deal with a number of folks, folks who are children who have moms and dads, family members that are incarcerated. We assist them as well with whatever support they need, whether it's counseling, whether it is, connecting with them within the correctional facility, whether it is connecting with, dealing with how do you cope with, your mom or your dad being incarcerated. That's a heavy burden for a child. A mom that lost her son or their daughter to whatever it might be, whether they passed or they're having to deal with physical disability because of what happened to them. We help them with the counseling support that they need. Dealing with stressful moments, whether it is they're in a crisis situation at that time, or reconnecting with folks who are in the correctional facility as well. So it's not just folks who have lost someone, who have died, who have passed, but also folks who are still alive, but there's that separation. They view it as a loss, and they're trying to reconnect with their family members. We connected with an organization that specifically deals with children who have families in correctional facilities, and also families who have passed. Some of the things that we're involved in is some of the programs that we've created is like teddy bears, creating having teddy bears that has is a representation of the family member who was passed or incarcerated. We send these out to these children. We send books to them as well, so that they have reading materials that can help them get through these situations that they're dealing with. So again, hope after loss, whether it's someone passing or whether someone who has been separated and they're trying to reconnect with their loved ones. It's a developing network of community partners who are committed to supporting victims and survivors of crime and their families as they work towards healing. All right, Jasmine.
Thanks, Tashana. We do a lot of things, and so sometimes it's hard to keep track of all the things that we're doing, but thank you for doing such a good job of explaining all the work that we're doing at Revitaled. So I'm going to take it over and talk a bit about the Learn Hub, how we got to this point. And so I have some numbers up here, have some facts I want to share, but I'm not going to go too much into the numbers because I can see that we're all people who have either had that lived experience of actually going through the system, or, we're professionals, we work with this population, we know the challenges that they're facing. So I'm going to start by first sharing a bit of a report by Correctional Services Canada. And this report, I believe this came out in 2019, but I'm pretty sure everyone, or I hope everyone, is aware of the recent report that came out by Correctional Services Canada. In my report that came from 2019, it showed that Indigenous and Black populations are twice as likely as others to report that they have little or no confidence in the police. Now, the recent report that came out just this year, I believe even last month it came out, or maybe 2 months ago, it showed the horrors that these populations are facing inside of correctional facilities as well. They're dealing with, low access to mental health support, racism, so many different challenges. So we can see that from 2019 to 2022, there has not been much of a difference in the way that Black and Indigenous populations relate to correctional institutions, to policing bodies. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, essentially. Now, the facts and figures that I found in relation to this study are largely influenced by historical patterns of authority and decision-making bodies, using, and sometimes, unfortunately, abusing their power as well to marginalize BIPOC communities. So facts such as transatlantic slave trade, Indigenous residential schools, Japanese internment camps, and so many other actions throughout history, both on a large and small scale, where systemic racism fueled the oppression and mistreatment of cultural groups. In these examples and others, policing bodies were used to enforce these oppressive practices and policies. And although the examples that I reference are things that have occurred in the past, their effects still impact these communities today and the way that they navigate their spaces. For example, through legislation like the Indian Act, or training in schools, and the way that BIPOC students, particularly Black students, face higher rates of expulsion than their non-Black counterparts. There was another study done by Relativity that found that there are 4 key barriers to justice. So these are low funding for legal aid, high cost for legal action, a lack of automatic rights to counsel in common legal circumstances, sorry, this will be the last one, the lack of awareness of rights and services and procedures that are done within the justice system. Now, considering that systemic barriers make it harder for underrepresented groups, this poses an added barrier for access to justice. So in another report done by, I believe it was the federal government, BIPOC populations are overrepresented as they navigate the system, and that these barriers, such as timely and affordable supports before, during, and after their experience in the system, leaves them feeling more marginalized than before. Now, finally, When we consider these factors, such as systemic racism, systemic barriers, lack of access, stress imposed by this lack of access, feelings of marginalization, and so many more other struggles that make it difficult to go through the system from the point of contact with the police all the way until going through the court system, going through a correctional facility if you have in fact been charged of your crimes. That point of release, the entire journey throughout, we can see that this imposes a declining impact on the community. It impacts finances, family bonds, relationships, mental health, education, employment, and so many other areas. Sorry, I did notice a chat. Sorry, a comment in the chat. Thank you, Norma, for sharing your book with us. Right, so I'm going to pop over to the next slide and kind of focus on the big picture here. So that if you forget all the other things that we're talking about this evening, the key takeaway, the key thing that really sparked the development of the Learn Hub was realizing that the challenges that people face when they're navigating the system, these are difficult challenges, and there needs to be more support implemented by the government and the community. Now, this support can't be one-track minded. It needs to be dynamic and holistic because, as the data states, not just what I've shared with us tonight, but so much more research done over the years, so much information provided by lived experience experts. All this information shows us that those who navigate the system, whether they are looking for legal counsel in defense, or they're looking for reparations done from something, or reparations for something that was done to them, this impacts their finances, their mental health, their relationships with their family, communities. It impacts their cognitive development, especially if there's a young child involved in the situation. It impacts their growth, their wellness, their behavior, and so many other areas of their lives as well. So because the impact of going through the system impacts so many different areas within our lives, we need to really understand the fact that the challenges faced in the legal system and imposed by the legal system are not just legal problems, they're social problems as well. So, of course, this is easier said than done, just to, let's invest more dollars here, let's implement this program here. It's a lot more complicated than that. But we figure and we hope truly that this hub will be a good starting point for providing the support that is needed, not only in terms of, providing more access to information, but also truly sparking a discussion about how we can support those who are going through the system. So the hub, as you can see here, the Learn Hub is the name of our project. We do refer to it as the hub. And the Learn, the name or the word Learn, is an acronym, and it stands for Legal Education and Reintegration. Now, the Learn Hub is a free online database that provides information, accessible and holistic information about how to navigate the justice system in Ontario with a focus on providing BIPOC-centered resources. Now, Tashana shared a bit of our history. We did in part create Revitaled because we wanted to provide that culturally specific support to those who were navigating the system, whether they were a former offender, whether they were a victim or survivor of a crime. There's a lot and a ton of resources out there that are doing fantastic, good work, but often the experience that we have when we go through the justice system, especially for racialized individuals, the reason that they encounter the system or the treatment that they're receiving while they're in the system, it's often because of those systemic barriers like systemic racism. And so we figure that's one of, not just the only way, but one of the ways that we can provide the best support possible is by being more cognizant of that and by implementing support that is focused and geared towards helping them to feel, I guess, more like their experiences are being heard through providing that culturally specific support, whether through counseling or providing that culturally specific resource that will really help them to get the support that they need. So while we are focusing largely on BIPOC resources, this hub is open and available to everyone. This hub is free. It focuses on information that goes beyond just getting that legal support. And of course, some of the key goals that we have are to make it accessible, easy to understand, and diverse in scope. And these are some of our hub goals. As mentioned, our focus is on accessibility, making it easy to understand, and ensuring that our community can get as much as possible to increase their ability to navigate the system successfully. And these are 4 key areas for now. We're just getting started with the hub. This is a project that we hope can sustain the test of time. As long as Revitaled is here in the community, we want this hub to be here. We want it to grow as well. We're going to talk a bit more about the future of the hub later on in the evening. But these are our 4 key areas. Under each category, we have videos, toolkits, resource booklets, checklists, and more content developed in-house as well as outsourced. So we worked with phenomenal community partners to gain insight and information on the information that is needed, as well as some of the focus areas that we should look into. So Tashana earlier mentioned one of our partners being an organization that focuses on providing support for families who are affected by individuals who or by incarceration, losing a breadwinner because they've been incarcerated. So she was referring to Canadian Families Corrections Network. We've also worked with Youth Rex on this project as well. Durham, I hope I got this acronym correctly, Durham Family Cultural and Resource Center, I believe. My apologies if that was the incorrect one, but so many organizations have loaned their team members to us to provide us with insights on how we should operate the hub. Norma, as you can see, who's been active in the chat, she's also one of our advisors, phenomenal and very well-versed in understanding the topics that she's referring to as well. So we had a wide range of people work with us as advisors on this initiative, an even greater number in the resources that were produced by this hub. So yes, we have a diverse network of partners, and many of these partners come from organizations with similar backgrounds that are justice focused. And they provided additional information and resources that will be shared in a resource booklet at the end of this evening. So everyone who is here on the call with us will get a notification either later this evening or later on in this week. But it's just essentially a resource booklet containing some additional resources that you could use, hopefully refer to your clients as well, that will hopefully help them, in areas such as finances, mental health, homelessness, and understanding conditions for that as well. So, and if you did not get a copy of our resource catalog, we will also send that out as well. And essentially the resource catalog provides an overview of just exactly what is on the Learn Hub. So it's just a brief description of some of our goals, all the information that we discussed tonight, the 4 key areas, as well as the specific names of resources that are in the hub. And we are going to do a quick walkthrough of the hub right now. So the hub is pretty easy to access because accessibility was one of our key goals that we mentioned earlier. We didn't want to keep it as simple as possible. So it's actually right on our website. So if you go to the website, revital.ca, I did provide the name of our website in the chat for those who are here. You can just go to our menu bar and click directly on the Learn Hub. And you'll be taken to our Learn Hub page. And on this page, you will find all the resources that are on the Learn Hub. So if you scroll down a little bit, we talk just a little blurb about what the Learn Hub is. As I mentioned before, LEARN stands for Legal Education and Reintegration. Right here, will be the recording of tonight's event. So if you missed something, if you joined us late and you just want to go back and see what you missed, you can absolutely do that once the video is uploaded. And these are some of our key features on the hub. For now, again, we are still going to be adding and developing as we go along, but these are just some of the key features that we have now. And again, we have a diverse collection of resources, which I will show you in just a bit. I did also just briefly mention our hub catalog. So if you'd like, you can click on this link and you will be given a copy of our hub catalog, which you can download and share with others as well. And here's where we get into the meat of the hub, which is the content. So we had, as I mentioned before, 4 key sections. This is the first one. They are in order. And if you go through the hub catalog, you'll actually see the exact order in which all the resources on the hub are. So if you'd like to go there for reference and pop back over, you can also do that as well. We have our legal term glossary, our legal term video glossary as well. These are 2 key features on the hub that we've been promoting. They have definitions for 80 plus legal terms and definitions, and we've tried to break it down as easy as possible. To access all of our resources, you can just click on the resource thumbnail and you will have full access to the PDF. We also have downloadable features as well, printing if you'd like as well. And for the video, you can click on that and you will actually be able to watch the video directly on the on your device on the website. You don't have to go to a separate page for that as well. We have other sections on the hub as well, and you might notice this icon pop up frequently. So anytime that we have an external resource developed by another organization, we feature this icon here so that, again, you are aware that it's not something that we've developed in-house, but it's something that's been already developed. And then the name of the organization who developed it, along with the title of the resource, is featured below as well. And essentially, that is how you can navigate the hub. Again, we have multiple resources. We have a court level fact sheet. So this talks about the different levels of court that we have in the Canadian system. We talk about, we have checklists as well. So we have our preparing for court checklist. We have a simple version for those who just, prefer to get straight to the point on content. But we also have a detailed version, and that's something that we offer for a few of our resources, just a simple version and a detailed version as well. Let's go back. We have a court process flow chart. So we like to incorporate visuals as well for those who are more visual learners rather than reading text. Some of our external resources created by John Howard Society. So this is just an overview of the bail process in Ontario. We have an interactive criminal court illustration created by Steps to Justice. So if you have a client who is going to be going to a courtroom in the coming days, and they're just wondering, what am I to be expecting when I walk into this place? You can click on that resource and there's an interactive image. You can hover over some of the icons and get a description over some of the things that they might likely see in the courtroom. We have a lot of resources. I'm not going to go through all of them for the sake of time, but I do encourage you to take a look at some of the things that we do have offering on the Learn Hub. This section, I think in particular, again, because we are just trying to be cognizant of cultural experiences. So the tools for BIPOC individuals who are navigating the system is something that I think is one of the key features on this hub. We have a legal services resource list. So organizations in GTA and Durham region that provide culturally specific supports or culturally focused organizations that provide legal services can be featured in this resource list. So one that comes to mind is Black Legal Action Center, We also have the Chinese and South Asian legal clinic as well. And the list just continues. We try and incorporate as much as possible. And if you know of a resource or you belong to an organization that's providing free services, we will be providing our email at the end of this evening. So feel free to give us an email if you notice that your organization is not represented in any of our resources here. I will just go through a couple few sections that we have here. So we have our record suspensions section, our mental health section, and our families in the legal system section as well. So the link for the Learn Hub, I will definitely add that to the chat at the end of the evening, and encourage you just to take a browse around some of the things that we have to offer. So I'm just going to pop back over to our presentation. And before we wrap up for the evening, we just want to talk about some of the future plans that we have for the hub. So in time, we do hope to provide free consultations with lawyers. We do also hope to include a live chat function into the hub. So rather than sending us an email and waiting a couple days to get some support, we do hope to just have that support ready on hand and accessible as possible. We do also hope to include a section on immigration and immigration detention in the future. And also just to continue that, our desire, our passion to share information, we do hope to have legal support webinars also in the future. Unfortunately, we cannot provide timelines at this time, but the best way to get information as to when when these resources and these features will be added to the hub is to stay in touch with us. So I do encourage you to send us an email at hub@revitaled.ca. We also have another email, info@revitaled.ca. And you can send us an email, you can give us a call or a text. We try to, again, be accessible as possible, and visit our website. You can also subscribe to our newsletter and follow us on social media as well. And we will provide links to our accounts in the chat as well. So I've done a lot of talking. Tashana, do you have anything to add?
Actually, no, you've covered absolutely everything.
All right. Well, we will leave it open to all of you who are here with us tonight. If you have any questions for us. In the meantime, I will also just post some of our links in the chat here, our email as well. And then also the direct link to the Learn Hub. Great.
Thanks, Jasmine, for that wonderful presentation. I'm so impressed by the colors and the graphics and everything. My name is Cynthia Laverne Cynthia Richards, and I've been working with Elizabeth Fry Toronto for over 11 years doing record suspension. So I have a very in-depth and I would say very advanced and professional knowledge of record suspension because I've been doing it. I've been working, Elizabeth Fry Toronto, we work with women in conflict with the law. So I don't think that I'm really out of time to add our name and information to your resource list, because the majority of, most women in conflict with the law are affected in such a way that their children, because women are the ones that most of the times have the children, and so the impact for women in conflict with the law, I would say, is most of the time most greater than that of men. However, I do applaud you and your organization for trying to create a space for BIPOC population, because that is really an underserved population out there, and we need to reach them. in whichever way we can. I really like the fact that you add a spiritual aspect to it, because in my work with women in conflict with the law, when we used to go into Vani and meet with women, a lot of them were at a point where they would say, God brought me here, or God caused me so that I can actually go back to him, so that I can actually go back to serving him and trusting him and doing the things. So religion play a huge role, if not before, while they're incarcerated, and certainly after they are released from prison. So I'm really glad that you are not afraid to put that aspect of your service out there. Because a lot of our, again, BIPOC, particularly Black women, do have an understanding and do have a sense of their creator, and want to, again, holistically, like you how you use that word, holistically reintegrate back into society.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that, Cynthia.
Yeah.
We appreciate you being able, to just be open with us about some of your experiences in working with this population. And yes, I completely agree. Providing spiritual support is so incredibly important. And for a lot of people, it's the way that they navigate their day to day. And I'm also glad that you mentioned that you are with Elizabeth Fry. We did feature Elizabeth Fry in our record suspension resource list. I'm going to see if I can find you guys. Yes. So you're in here. You're in here.
Oh,
So
well,
yeah.
nobody spoke to me, and I'm the only one at eFry that does record suspension, but we did have something on our website that we do record suspension. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So links are in there. So I know it's a ways down, but yes, links are in here as well. And actually your contact information, hopefully that is your correct email
That's
address,
me.
is there as
That's
well.
me.
So yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you again, Cynthia. And I do see a raised hand as well. Andrea, or is it Andrea? I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Right, Jasmine, is Andrea.
Andrea, yes.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you, Jasmine and Tashana, for a well done presentation. It's very clear, and there's so much resources. So I'm really glad that this hub is out there. I'm really excited. Having worked in the justice field as well for over 5 years now, particularly focusing on youth. So as a youth mental health court worker in the Peel region, and now working with Central Toronto Youth Services in their rights youth justice, where we work with racialized youth or Black youth, or youth who identify as Black. So that was my question. Really, is just trying to get a little bit more understanding. Whether, like, what's the age bracket for the hub? Are there services for youth within the hub?
Yeah.
And perfect. So I'm wondering if you could just enhance that a little bit for me, so I can know where to refer, and also to become partners or work
Yes.
together.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for that question. We are working on enhancing more information so that it's youth focused, but there are some resources in there for Black youth. I will start, I believe, with or not just Black youth, but racialized youth overall. Tools for BIPOC individuals in the system. So we have a Somali Youth Justice Toolkit here, which I can open. It is one of the resources provided by Youth Rex. So that is available. Yeah, everyone can download it if they would like to as well. And then there's a new resource that just came out. I believe that's with Delta Family Resource Center. So that is one of our partners on the hub. Now they did a phenomenal job with this resource. It just released earlier this year. And it is a toolkit mostly geared towards facilitators who are working with Black youth. But it really is just focused on restorative justice, using different means to express oneself. I was able to attend a presentation that they did on this resource, and I just think it's brilliantly well done. So that is available for download as well. And then there are some other resources that we have in the families in the legal system section. Now, I believe the Family Services Resource List is a great resource because it does feature organizations, both in Durham and the GTA, that do work with youth populations specifically, as well as families. So there's a ton of resources here. We do categorize them as best as we can, provide them with contact information if you'd like to take a look at that. And yeah, so there is definitely room, I think, on the hub for more youth specific oriented resources. And so if your organization that you work with, if they would like to be included, then that's something we can absolutely do, as well as other recommendations that you have so that this hub is more user friendly to youth specifically.
Thank you very much, Jasmine.
Yeah.
It's like I saw the toolkits that you have, and yes, I would really like to use this hub. I'm just learning about it now, and I'm also like really interested. I'll like have an opportunity to peruse, just to really talk about the pieces that you've identified, as well as Tashana, around the reintegration process of whether they're adult or youth being in custody, and then trying to find work and housing and so forth. So you have opportunities in this area that is definitely well needed. Right? So I'm gonna peruse, and I really appreciate again the work that you all have done towards this, and can't wait for all the other pieces, the new parts of the program that you want to put forward as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We
Jasmine,
really.
this is Norma.
Hi, Norma.
I have such a broad smile on my face because I'm listening to Cynthia and Andrea, and it is just awesome, the kind of connection that is being made. And just to share a little bit, I managed healthcare for 5 years for the young people at the Roy McMurtry. And that led me to writing my own story and using the contents of my book to educate families and how preventative measures to keep their children and young people out of the youth justice system. So I'll accept your invitation, Jasmine, to add also some resources from me, and I will send it and you decide where. I go out, and just like you can get download free from Revitaled, I don't charge anything to help families. I sell my books because the books pays my travel, etc. But oh my goodness, it is so wonderful when we all get engaged in helping our racialized folks be successful, whether they have been incarcerated, whether they are about to, whether they're living in poverty. I am so excited about what you have been able with partners to accomplish in less than 1 year. Less than 1 year. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Norma. Always, our conversations are always so uplifting. Really do appreciate it. And your book, Young Lives on the Line, we did include that in the resource package that we'll be handing out after this event. So I did read the copy. Tashana read the copy as well. So we do encourage everyone just to take a peek at the little blurb in the description that we'll be sending out, and share it with your communities, because it is such an incredible book. So thank you, Norma.
My support is behind you all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Norma. Yes, thank you.
And Phoebe.
Hi, sorry, I'm not feeling well today, so my voice might crack.
No worries.
But hi everyone, and Jasmine, Tashana, thank you so much for doing this. This is amazing work, and I echo what everybody's saying. This is like extraordinary and well needed. So I wanted to ask a question, a two-part question. First is, so if we're referring clients to this resource, I wonder, can you explain how the process works when a client calls in, like the intake process? We support women who have experienced domestic violence, and sometimes we find that some women are charged as well too, and maybe going through the criminal justice system as well. But mostly we deal with family court. But we're wondering if a woman is referred there, how that process is going to be.
Yeah, so to work with the Revital team, it's fairly simple intake process. We try and keep this as low barrier as possible. So since we're on the site, I'll just go to where you can find our intake form. So if you go to, I believe it's the About Us, or sorry, Our Services section, there's a couple ways that you can register. So you can either use our online intake form. I should probably close some of these links. It's getting a little slow. Okay. So while that's loading, there's an online intake form. It's probably about 5 to 7 questions. We're just looking really for the person's name, their contact information, best method of contact, and the type of support that they're interested in receiving. And here it is. And then that exact same form is also available PDF, which you can download there as well. Within about 2 to 3 business days, someone will get in touch with that client, and they'll do a bit more extensive of an intake process, again, just to see the type of support that they need, how extensive that support will be. In most cases, we're able to work with the individual in-house solely, but again, depending on their various needs, they might need to also be referred out to one of our community partners. And we would do that to try and eliminate, again, as many barriers as possible by referring them to somebody who is in their immediate area. And again, the way that we would work with the clients all depends also on their preferences, what they're comfortable with, how often they're comfortable meeting, etc. We try and be as accommodating as possible. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, that answered both my questions. So perfect.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect. And I do see that you're from Luke's Place. Luke's Place is, I believe, on our legal services resource list as well. Just wanted to let you know that as well.
Yes,
So we do recognize the work that you're doing over there as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, it was wonderful chatting with everyone on the call tonight. Again, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to learn more about the work that we're doing. I don't know. Did I miss anything, Tashana? Anything that you'd like to add on?
I just wanted to say the same thing as well. Thank you so much, every single one of you, for joining us, for allowing us to add you to the resource list. Like, we appreciate the work that you were doing as well. We really thank you for the comments. It encourages us to continue to push on and build on what we've started. So thank you very much, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, and we will be sending out that resource booklet, the one featuring Norma's book, as well as our hub catalog in case you'd like to share that along with somebody. And we'll also include some of our additional resources in there as well, our partners package in case you'd like to continue the conversation with Revitaled. We're always open to connecting with new organizations, just so that we are able to build our network of support and support as many people as possible. So
I want to say that I would offer my services to do a series or 2 of the record suspension process if you have room, and if you want to arrange something, we can do a series of the record suspension process, how it works, and for clients and for your staff, so that you have the current understanding. I'm not saying that you don't, but since you have
Yeah.
my name there, I'm not going to be
Yes.
just a resource on the sideline. I want to be an active resource and support you, and our relationship should be mutually beneficial.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
We would love to talk about that further, Cynthia. I'll email you if that's okay, since I have your email.
Yes, we
If
do.
that works for you, then absolutely,
Yeah.
let's continue the conversation for sure.
Okay, no problem. Good night.
Yeah. Good night, Cynthia, and good night, everyone. Again, so wonderful chatting with everyone. Hope you
Take
all
care,
take
everyone.
care.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Thank you.